Anthony Joshua's car crash hit the boxing world like a sudden left hook nobody saw coming because early whispers didn't match the gravity of the truth, and as verified details surfaced, through showbiz the adult fans began to understand that this was not rumor or hype, but a real helping explain what really happened in Anthony Joshua's tragic car accident brutal moment of reality. As authorities clarified the timeline, it became clear that confusion ruled the early hours. But confirmed reports explain how the vehicle carrying Anthony Joshua lost control and how investigators pieced together the second. According to Nigeria's Federal Road Safety Court, they said that the Lexus was traveling at a high speed, trying to maneuver around a vehicle and lost control and ran into the commercial stationary truck. Now, here's the images of the truck itself, that the SUV struck a very large commercial vehicle. As reactions came in from the boxing world with official explanations now public, the picture sharpened as reports described a high-speed maneuver on a Nigerian road where the Lexus carrying Joshua attempted to overtake another vehicle, lost control, and slammed into a stationary commercial truck. A detail that changed the entire understanding of how violent and unforgiving the crash truly was. As images of the massive truck circulated, the scale of the collision became impossible to ignore because this was not a minor roadside accident, but a catastrophic impact against an immovable object. A moment where physics overpowered protection and survival came down to inches, angles, and cruel randomness. He tweeted, RFB Sinagami and Kevin Latif Shah Lots Iadel. My thoughts and prayers are with their families and friends and AJ. The boxing community responded immediately, and Speaker One captured how trainer Greg Hackett spoke with raw emotion, sending condolences to the families of Arab Sinagogami and Kevin Latif Shah Lox Iadel, while acknowledging the unbearable weight Anthony Joshua must now carry far beyond any loss suffered inside a ring. And you could only take so much. And at a certain like that one that he got from Joshua, say if you have like a punch card, you have like so many punch that you can get in your life, which I believe you do. I believe there's a certain number. That one was like 10 bunches. That was like, it was a lot of concussions in that. Tributes flooded social media from fighters, fans, and rivals alike. And Jake Paul publicly honored the lives lost, offering prayers to their families and support to Anthony Joshua. A rare pause in boxing's endless noise where competition faded and shared humanity took center stage. I'm going to get out of the way a little bit on this one and let you lead the way. Because you knew these men personally and you know Anthony personally, and you've been calling shows in West Africa, not Nigeria, but in Ghana recently, and it's horrible news to be met with before the New Year's for Joshua, who had to be feeling good about his stature being risen in the United States to a new level. And, I would say he was going over there to celebrate, but really him and this man Alat Latif, they go there frequently all the time, so they weren't even necessarily really celebrating. This is just kind of what they do in Nigeria. Concern quickly turned to Joshua's condition, and as news spread that he had survived. The moment took on national significance, highlighted by Nigerian President Iwaju Ahmed Tinubu personally visiting Anthony Joshua in the hospital. A gesture that underscored how deeply this tragedy resonated beyond sport. But, I know you have a lot of deep thoughts about this. Raheem, what do you have to say for the audience? I think the first thing to get out of the way is just the facts. I'm not on the ground. However, there are some facts about this situation that should be laid very plain. 4 men in the car, Anthony Joshua, and the driver survived this accident. Anthony Joshua was sat behind the driver in the back seat. Sitting next to him was one of the men who fatally lost their life in this crash. And sitting next to the driver was the other man. I don't know whether Latif or Sina was in the front or back seat. But if you don't know, they drive on the right side of the road there. So both Joshua and the driver would be on the right side of the car. It has been characterized by the Ghanaian authority.
I'm sorry.
It has been characterized by the Nigerian authorities that the car was speeding and trying to overtake another car, suggesting that they were driving reckless and then slammed into a stationary vehicle, which means a vehicle that wasn't moving. It was a massive truck. I saw that in a video. There has also been report that the tire blew out maybe while they were in the action of overtaking the vehicle, and that is how the driver lost control and slammed into the stationary truck. For context, I've never been on this particular road in Nigeria. However, I have been to West Africa many times in Ghana. I've been in other. As commentators reflected on the personal impact, Sean Zittel emphasized that this loss struck at Joshua's inner circle, explaining that these were not distant acquaintances, but close friends, making the timing especially cruel as the accident occurred just before the new year, when optimism usually runs highest. Speaker 1 also guided listeners through the broader context, explaining that Joshua's trips to Nigeria were routine rather than celebratory, which stripped away any sensational framing and reinforced that this tragedy unfolded during ordinary life, making it even more chilling and relatable to everyone watching. The precious value of life. Life is precious. And no matter if you make no money, no matter if you make tons of money, sure, your living experience will be different. And some live, quote unquote, better than others. But the gift, the ultimate gift is life. And it didn't matter today that AJ was one of the biggest stars a week ago in the world. Didn't matter that he had this record-breaking boxing match. Didn't matter that he got paid a ton of money. Didn't matter that he was worth a ton of money. Today, weren't as fortunate. And I pray for them. I pray for their families. Pray for AJ. But it just shows you how precious every day is and how you have to take every day as a reminder that this life is short. To help audiences visualize the incident, authorities released a crash diagram and Speaker 1 explained how it showed Anthony Joshua seated behind the driver with a fatal impact striking the right side of the vehicle. A detail that clarified why some survived and others tragically did not. For every second you breathe air, because it can all change in an instant, I can't imagine what AJ again, obviously the main concern should be the people and the families of those deceased. I can't imagine what AJ's going to have to deal with in terms of the grief, the emotional strain, the physical anguish. I mean, his two apparently, according to a lot of the people that are speaking about this, his two of his best friends just died in front of him. Things are bigger than boxing right now. I saw everybody reaching out. Turkey Alice, owner, CEO of The Ring magazine, Jake Paul, Piers Morgan, everybody around the boxing scene coming together regardless of what they think of each other. And that's something I love to see in our sport, coming together to send our prayer, send our thoughts. This tragic accident shows how fragile life is. The narrative then shifted toward reflection as Wade Clemens' words echoed through the discussion, reminding viewers that life's value does not increase with fame or wealth, and that even a global star like Anthony Joshua is subject to the same fragile limits as anyone else on the planet. Anthony Joshua's gigantic. So big. He's so big. He's so much bigger. So, of course, like his punch that he knocks Tyron Woodley out cold with, Joshua just eats it. Yeah, 'cause he's a giant. He's a __ giant man. So big, dude. He's so big. Speaker 1 emphasized how the boxing world united in this moment with figures like Tricky Sheikh of The Ring magazine, Jake Paul, and Piers Morgan all setting aside differences to share prayers and support, showing that tragedy can briefly dissolve ego and rivalry. Jake Paul pinned him down and hurt him. That has been the request leading up, and that what was on my mind. It took a bit longer than expected, but the right hand finally found it. Then came the rumors. Days after the fight, allegations began circulating that Jake Paul had attempted to bribe Anthony Joshua before the bout. The emotional toll on Anthony Joshua became impossible to ignore as reports suggested that two of his closest friends died right in front of him. A trauma that no training camp, championship belt, or payday can prepare a person to process or escape from. Seemed to me like sparring. Yeah. When I watched it, which look, I paid for it. They got me. I thought it was going to be a real fight, but I'm not mad at $1 million on that's the problem. That's why, look, maybe it was a real fight. Maybe that's just the level that they both fight at. But, it seemed a little sus. Speaker 1 framed the incident as bigger than boxing, explaining how moments like this force fighters and fans alike to reevaluate priorities. Because the applause fades, the headlines move on, but grief and survival stay locked inside the people who lived through it. I never felt it was anything other than entertainment. I'm not surprised that Anthony Joshua could have knocked Jake Paul out anytime he wanted to. He didn't want to. So, why didn't he? Because, well, you're on a platform like Netflix that turns one-part episodes into a six-part series. Why would you think that part of their entertainment model is to have a 30 second fight?
Why?
'Cause Netflix, you watch a Netflix series, you can watch it and you can go, well, I get the gist of it. Why have you got to turn it into 10 episodes because I'm dying with boredom? Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasized, listen guys, take this as long as you can? Anthony Joshua didn't step irrespective. I sat to all these guys, whether it be Spencer or Paul Smith, talking about the fact that Jake Paul couldn't run, didn't have the footwork to be able to move around the ring. So nuts, right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the two-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist, a guy who's gigantic in his pride, built like a Greek god. Yeah. And you're going to stand, and he's a one-punch killer. And you're going to stand in front of that guy. And he avoided shots till the 6th round. He just started getting tired. I mean, I told everyone, though, that I would do better than Francis, and that Francis kinda got no chin. So, Francis Loki soft. You made it further than Francis. Yeah. So there was 5-6 he went. 6 rounds. You know what that means? What we got here. As I look at, for the fans, it put boxing still on the map because it keeps boxing relevant. Having exhibition fights like this, different celebrities and different things like that. I look at it as a fun thing for fans and stuff like that. I don't really take it seriously, because, we in the business of boxing. That right there is just, exhibition stuff. But I'm hearing they say it's a real fight. But yeah, it's a real fight because both guys are getting in a fight. I'm still the one that be thinking. Simon, when you look at it, Jake Paul posted on Twitter after the fight, jaw broken, heart and balls intact. That's a good thing. Time to rest, recover, and return to cruiserweight. He's coming out of it as if, well, yeah, I got bad